We are three friends exploring connection, from the coffee shop to the podcast studio. I'm Amy.
I'm Anna.
I'm Aaron.
Hey, we are recording.
Heyo!
Hey!
Hi. I miss you guys.
I miss you too.
Miss you too. Gotta
But
get all situated here.
I do have to say, I feel really glad that you rode your bike over Aaron the other day and you waved at me when we were on our patio. That was so nice.
Real good. That was it was great to ride through Denver, stop and you see social distance, you and Amy and my friend Sharon, and then Chris's friend Dan. We took a little bike ride around the city, and it's nice because there's not as many cars out, so it was just good to ride around. And Chris fixed my bike, so now I have different handlebars and easier brakes. So it was a beautiful day. Beautiful face I see along the way.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise.
It's so nice to see you in person. And then I got to see Amy today to give you your headphones. We're looking like gamers today.
I know. We're like serious today. Got a little equipment upgrade.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. And then everybody's like wearing hoodies today.
That's right.
Y'all are representing.
Represent.
I need to get mine.
You do.
Get yours.
You do.
I have a zip up one. Oh my gosh. I totally should have put it on. But it's
instead you have your sloth hiking club. So
That's
pretty great too.
But it's like
hiking team.
Hiking team.
Yeah. There you go.
I have this.
Yeah,
there you
are. Yeah, you are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there's that.
So how's the week, people?
This one was a little rougher for me, I gotta be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, just I don't know if it's like the monotony of the days or, just life. Just like life being life for what it is, and then feeling this like stuck.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just felt more, just wasn't as like positive or whatever for me this week.
Right.
What about for you guys?
Anna, how about you?
I feel like take a screenshot really quick so I can share that on our social. I feel like this week was different too, but it almost felt easier for me because I feel like I have a new level of acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, mindset is everything, right? And I also feel like I'm kind of just getting into like a groove with this whole situation, and it's like the adrenaline or something that came with it initially, or just like the shock is wearing off, and it's just kind of literally feels like, oh, this is a new normal, and oh, if I can work or get out solo and do a walk and have some alone time, that just helps so much. And honestly, I'm kind of sick of talking about the coronavirus. I'm and it could be because I completely overdid it with all of the articles. And
it was intense article.
No.
It was intense article.
It really was.
I could be totally just maxed out. All right, I've done enough what I can, researched as much as I can. It is what it is at this point. And, I'm yeah. So let's talk about the coronavirus.
That's right.
Just kidding.
What about you, Aaron? How was the week?
Well, so on Sunday I did, I am trained in Healing Touch. And so I normally go to get regular Healing Touch treatments. And so on Sunday I went to, I didn't go anywhere. I had Cynthia, who is my Healing Touch practitioner and my teacher. I was like, okay, so if I'm going to be a Healing Touch practitioner and this distance healing thing, quantum physics-y type of thing is, it can happen, then I'm going to give it a try, but I am kind of skeptical, right? Because I'm always skeptical about it.
Yeah.
And then, so I'm like, okay, well, if I am promoting this thing, I need to see if it actually works. So I did the session and I laid down on the table. I talked to her, then I put on my music, set an alarm, and then I woke up, and I'm not kidding. I thought I was full of shit, but it was a game changer for me. So I think I was like,
whoa.
Yeah, it was incredible. And then I felt finally like, oh, okay, like I feel back into myself. I felt like good, like right as same as I do after regular healing touch sessions. So my energy was all in line, which was awesome. So that was on Sunday.
Wait, so I have a question about that.
Yes.
Like, does the practitioner just...
So they're pretending like she's got her table out and they're pretending. I did this in my apprenticeship, like as a practitioner, and I was surprised at like the intuitive stuff that came up about the person, even though they weren't there. Because energy, you don't need to be in the same space. So I've been to her space space all the time, like probably at least once a month or every other week for like a long time now. And so so she did this, and so we talked about it. She laid the table out. So she works on me as if I'm there. And so this is what she says to me, and I was like, okay, whatever. I roll my eyes. So she was like, okay, well, I'll ground you at about 40 minutes, and so you'll probably be able to feel that. And so I was like, okay, whatever. And so literally, I felt like a dunk in the middle of my body, and then like a couple minutes later, my alarm went off. It was awesome. And so, so could totally feel what she was talking about, which is, and I'm sensitive to energy, but I think it's the same thing. So that was awesome. So it got me back in my window of tolerance, because I was pretty like, my nervous system was pretty overactivated, in like go mode to figure out how to do all this. So I feel like I have come to a place of acceptance with this, but I'm also able to feel, because I'm in my window of tolerance, I can feel all of my feels. I've been way more teary just because I'm feeling everything, but also like a better range of acceptance, especially with the business, about just this is where it is and this is what we have to do. But I'm definitely feeling a lot more than I have this entire time. So that's where I am. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing that the healing touch was able to work.
I know. It's so hard to understand. It's so crazy. But I mean, I totally believe it.
Yeah. And I'm skeptical, even though that I do that, I am skeptical of all of that before, and it was super cool. So
wow,
there's that. Yeah.
So there you go. You can do it virtual healing touch, even though that seems like an oxymoron. Healing touch.
It totally does.
Yeah.
Virtual
well,
healing
you don't
touch.
actually have to, when you're doing, you can do like light hand placements, or you don't even have to be touching the person, because in like other forms of energy healing, like people don't touch you a lot of the times. So yeah.
So cool.
Fascinating.
That could be really good for coronavirus.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my gosh.
I can heal you. I'm not really going to touch you.
I'm not even going to be in the same room.
I'm not even going to be in the same room.
Yeah. Because she's in Boulder, and Denver. Yeah.
Wow.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
there's
cool.
that.
Wow. Well, sounds like we've got some questions from some listeners.
Yep. So
I want to kick that off, Erin?
I set up some text messages to see what people wanted us to talk about, because I feel like we needed some direction, right? So a couple of questions. So one of my friends asked, could you ask Anna to share some of her savings tips for people who may be struggling financially at the moment, what she did and how she recommends saving during this time? There you go, Anna.
Yeah, totally. So the very first thing you should do,
read your book. Just kidding.
I'm not kidding.
Yeah. I have mine here too.
Do you?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. So totally get the book. If you don't have it, you can get it at spendersguidebook.com.
For everyone that's listening, Anna's holding it up on the camera. So there we go.
Yeah.
That
she authored.
Yeah. So I wrote a book about how to get out of debt super fast. So I know what I'm talking about. So the main thing that I would recommend doing is to not, if you're worried about money right now, which so many of us are, do not try to get out of debt right now. It is totally okay. Like, I think a lot of people feel this pressure to like, oh my gosh, I have to like save money and still get out of debt. And it's like, the reality is things are so uncertain that a lot of people are just in survival mode. So like, don't put the pressure on yourself to try to survive and get out of debt. The spending fast can be used as a way to gain more secure financial footing, no matter where you're at in your life, and if we're going through a global pandemic or not. So right now, don't try to pay off debt. Just simply survive. Another thing to do is to create a wants and needs list, and that will help you get really, really clear about things that you can cut out, things that, kind of discretionary spending.
What differentiates a want from a need? Because I think sometimes people would think like things are a need when actually they're a want.
Yeah, so I mean, I think one of the reasons the Spending Fast has been so effective and our community has been able to pay off over $8 million in debt is
oh my gosh.
Is because it is so customizable. Like, you get to decide what is a priority to you in your life. So when I created my wants and needs list initially, I said, you know what, these are needed to survive, and these are things that are needed for my emotional well-being, like, or like I was working at the courthouse at the time, and so I decided I needed to be able to dye my hair still, so I added that to like my needs list. And like a lot of people add like doggy daycare or like pedicures, when we're not like, when
in the lockdown,
when we're not in a global pandemic, so it's just kind of like what you need to like survive and what you need to have your mental health and emotional well-being taken care of, and that's something that you get to decide. So like something you might put on your wants and needs list might not be something I put on. Like in my book I talk about I give an example of my wants and needs list, and it's just to be used as a guide, but it really should be totally customized to your own priorities.
Mm-hmm.
And then that'll help you get like a really good idea about where you should be spending. And then I always recommend, like, after you get going in it for a while, like if you start and you're like, oh my gosh, I have these items that are kind of in a gray, like I don't know what I should do with these, then put them as a need, and then as you get going and kind of get in the groove with it, just scoot those over to the want side and don't spend on the wants, and just kind of get more competitive with yourself. But I mean, really anything you can do, like, and this is if money is, if we're not in a global pandemic, like you have to use all of this idea with like a grain of salt right now. It's like, just survive right now. Don't try to pay off your debt, pay the minimums. Also, some other tips I wrote down is to be sure, I feel like this might be a no-brainer, but I'm going to say it anyway. Take advantage of government programs and talk to your employer. Call your mortgage company or your landlord, see if there's any deferments if you need that. And you can do this and just kind of find out what your options are, and then weigh it all and find out if it would help you to take advantage of any of these things that are being offered. Obviously, unemployment, if you have been laid off, and call your creditors because they're also doing different things to help people out during this time. So just kind of knowing where you stand with things and what your options are, I think that's pretty empowering. So yeah, those are the tips that I have for that.
Okay, so what about, so the other parts of that question was maybe also what do you do if you're now down to one income, etc.?
Yeah, so
additional things.
Yeah, so if you are down to one income, I do have a side gig master list. If you go to andthenwesave.com, you can get that. There's like 195 side gig ideas. Actually, I think I gave it to you at one point, Amy.
It's awesome. I highly endorse it. Yeah.
Yeah. So many ideas, whether we're in a global pandemic or not. Obviously, some of them you won't be able to do right now with shutdowns, but it's like so good to just get your mind going about like, oh my gosh, like I could totally make money doing this or that. And I think the main thing is to, like, if you are down to one income, like just get really creative with how you can cut back, and then other ideas about where people are needing help and how you might be able to fill a need that people have. So I feel like I just did an infomercial.
You did a great job. I was just listening. Do you have any examples that you could tell people, like stories or real life examples, so that people? About anything that you just said?
Like the side gigs, maybe?
The side gigs?
Side gigs. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Oh, another thing. This isn't about your question, Erin, but another tip. Because of where we're at right now with the social distancing and so many cities and states being shut down, there is a community of people that are also trying to get out of debt or struggling with money stuff. And that's on Facebook. It's a free group that I have, and it's spendingfastersgroup.com. And that's a group to where you can just kind of talk about what you're going through so that you know you're not alone in this. And I feel like there's a lot of power in just saying and knowing like you're not the only one in that situation.
And I bet they have some great ideas for side gigs.
Oh yeah,
too,
totally.
Right?
Totally. Yeah. And if you search in that group, it's just like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. Or here's what's happening in my state, and then maybe you can look into that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, Erin. I don't really have an example.
I don't think it's a very good question.
Anecdote right now, but if I think of one,
I have an example you gave me once.
What?
Great.
So
I'm
drawing a blank.
You what?
I'm drawing a blank. So
yeah. No, I have two comments to make. First, you got yourself out of a tremendous amount of debt doing this.
Yeah.
And so it's not only that you're an author, but like your own experience doing this. But then the second thing I would say is you told me like I could get really creative with, even like renting my garage, for example, or renting a space in my garage, or I have a backyard. And so like, I could think about like having puppy play dates or, kind of like a puppy happy hour or something so that dogs could just come and run around. Like I really appreciated your perspective and really like that, that guide, the side gigs guide that you have, because if you get it, then you can just link right to all these different ideas. And there's so much in there that I just wouldn't have even thought about, but it's great resource.
I'm glad that you found that helpful. And I mean, I think that's what's so cool about like all those side gigs is it's like, and if you're struggling with money right now, it's like just to get your mind thinking about like, oh yeah, I didn't even think that like people need somewhere to take their dogs, even if the dog could just be outside.
Yes.
And run around. Like that's a benefit to someone. And like, it's very low impact on like your daily life.
Right.
It's like, drop the dog, then Venmo me $20 or $30 for the day or whatever it is,
Yeah.
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 So.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Good question.
Yeah, good question, listener.
Okay, so then all these questions I kind of group them into. So that was finances, and then the next is coping skills, habits, mental and emotional health. Amy, you want to read those thoughts? There's 3 of them, and then we'll give the tips. Or you want to do the tips and I'll read them.
Let's see here. Just point me to where I am looking at the rain. You mean?
Above the rain.
Above the rain.
All those questions. This is where
I see what you're saying. Yep. Yes, I see. Okay, so question number 1. What do you do if you are comfort eating up a storm or drinking, etc., due to stress? What do you do when you find yourself falling back on harmful coping strategies that make you jeopardize your health, or if you stop exercising and just want to sleep, etc.?
Great. Yep.
Should I keep going? The next one?
We'll just
okay.
To give idea about what people are thinking about.
Got it. Okay. Another question was underlying anxiety. Even when you feel good, there is still something there right now.
Like I think this person is asking like the underlying anxiety, even when like things are good.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And I think just another one here is anxiety. We can protect ourselves, but we can't control others.
Right.
So I think that brings up a really good point of just we are living with so much anxiety produced probably by uncertainty in the future and or what the future is going to look like. And then, I mean, I can totally relate to that. This question, what that person said about like, we can't control others, and just the anxiety producing or just the anxiety that produces.
Right.
So definitely some great tips,
right,
for what to do.
Yeah. So for his helpful things. So one thing that I think is awesome is, so Tara Brock, she's a meditation teacher. She's a therapist. I think she's a speaker. She does all sorts of things. She's pretty funny when she does her presentations. And she also has a podcast where it has, free meditations. And then she talks about some sort of, like applicable talk. And so the thing she talks about often is the practice of rain. And so rain is when something happens, right? So we're recognizing, so the R is that we're recognizing what is happening. So let's take one of those so comfort eating up a storm. So I've been eating sugar like a champion. And I went on a run yesterday and I was like, maybe my practice of 2 desserts during quarantine, I'll say to Chris, like, we already had 2 desserts. We can't have any other things. And those freaking, we went to Target and he got those freaking Cadbury eggs. Oh my God.
I love those. I love it, like treat. Eating the shell around it, and then I let the ooze just come out.
They're so good.
So we're going to recognize what's happening. I'm hog jazzing the shit out of Cadbury eggs. So that's the issue with that. So I'm recognizing what happened. I'm allowing the experience of the eggs. I'm allowing the experience to be there just as it is. So like, okay. So I feel like I need to, every time I go to the kitchen, to grab a few eggs. It's not really my...
Wait, are they the big eggs? Or...
No. They're like the little nuggets. It's not like the crap.
There's a whole bunch of new kinds, I feel like, this year.
They're the minis.
Yes.
And it's just this like solid little eggshell.
Oh, I know. You're talking about purple bag.
Oh, yes.
Do they have like a malt? Is it malty?
Nope.
No, it's like it's just
solid.
Like candy covered pastel covering on that.
And I need to get some of those.
They're so good.
Addictive chocolate on the inside.
Okay, wait, side story. Okay. I got it just quick.
Okay.
So about that package of chocolate eggs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When I was a teacher, there were a couple kindergarten teachers who loved those eggs so much that when it was Cadbury egg season, they would go and like we would literally take breaks. We would walk our classrooms by that classroom because they had the stash of the purple Cadbury eggs.
Oh yeah.
And it was,
we got to go this way.
Oh yeah. So good.
Give you the handoff and you keep on walking.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Through the day.
Yeah.
Good. That's what I kind of feel like's happening.
Just like
get
this
the
slide.
In the kitchen.
Yes.
Yep. And you have a little coffee. I'm having a little coffee treat in the afternoon, and I'm eating these I'm eating these espresso and Cadbury eggs.
Yum.
Woo!
I can't tell if like the coronavirus is going to get everybody in amazing shape because there's so much like online video exercising happening, or if it's going to be like we're all going to be 20 pounds heavier.
Well,
have you heard of the COVID-19?
Yeah.
Like
pounds.
15. The COVID-19.
Yeah. Watch out for that. I wore my t-shirt that says "Get your fat pants on." That's what my sister Colleen bought me for Thanksgiving.
That's the other thing. Yeah.
Okay.
I think people are. We're gonna get back to I and N, but I think people are gonna have a really hard time going back to pants that have like buttons.
Yeah.
And a zipper. And jeans.
I think we're going to have a new level of like wearing pajamas outside.
I did.
Oh, I did too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody outside on walks is in loungewear. Like it's literally like nobody's getting dressed. I mean, I do have to say, like putting on makeup today and then the other day, I have started to realize like the things that make me feel good for me personally rather than for external things. It's like, oh my gosh, I feel significantly better when I do these certain things rather than when I do them because I think I'm going to run into somebody in particular or like be in this certain situation, you know, and it's like, oh, I am feeling good from the outside in this situation.
Yeah.
So
I'm with you, but I have to put on regular pants. And I've been wearing jeans every day because I have to feel, that makes me feel normal. So that we got makeup, I got jeans. There we go.
Yeah. And another thing that makes me feel like regular and normal that I noticed, and this was pre-pandemic time, whenever I would go on a trip and I would not shave my legs. And something about that just made me feel like not normalized. And so like it sounds so weird, but like I have to make sure to like still shave my legs when I go on vacation because it's like a normalizing thing.
Yeah.
Even though
it's good to know whatever those things are.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Whatever those things are that make you feel okay.
Do you have anything, Amy, that you do?
Nope.
Nope.
No, not really. I mean, I probably should, but no.
There ain't no shoulds around here.
Yeah.
There ain't no shoulds in these pods. We don't do shoulds.
That's right.
All right, so rain.
Okay, so then I is investigate with interest and care, right? And so why am I eating all of these Cadbury eggs? Like, what is happening with me? Because I was real emotional this week. And so I'm trying to soothe with that chocolate. Not the best plan. We're in a social isolation or distancing, whatever. And so that's what I got. And then I went on a run last night and I felt like total crap because I'm like, oh, I can feel the sugar. My joints hurt. Like I just felt gross. And no, the Rona is not in me right now.
Rona?
No, Rona.
Is that you?
That you, Rona?
Is that you, Rona? Rona.
Rona,
No.
you so crazy.
You're crazy, Rona.
You're Rona.
So investigate with care rather than like beat myself up, which is never helpful about like why I'm eating this. I need to stop, blah, 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 all that stuff. Not helpful. So I'm interested in care. This is what. And then N is nurture with self-compassion. So like, it doesn't make me feel good. Instead of like, no, you can't eat them. It's like, no, this does not make me feel good. And ultimately like my energy spikes and then crashes. I can have a few a day and that's okay. And so I can parent myself, like nurture with self-compassion. And so that's how I deal with that. So the R is recognize what's happening. A is allow the experience to be there just as it is. I is investigate with interest and care. And then N is to nurture with self-compassion. That's
Love it.
Yep.
Yeah, so good. It's like so non-judgmental of yourself.
Yes.
Have
you guys ever seen this?
The Calm app?
Nope.
Bootify.
This is Bootify.
Bootify.
Yeah, Bootify has a wheel, and if you go to stress and difficult emotions, and then look at that one down there, rain.
Oh,
it's raining, man. Hallelujah.
So,
it's raining, man.
you can be guided through the meditation that Erin, you just walked us through.
Wow, love that.
Cool.
Yeah, for free.
Look at that resource. Say it again.
Damn.
Bootify.
Damn, you're good.
That's good.
You know what I've been noticing when I have anxiety?
Yep.
The number one thing that I do to get my anxiety under control is to think about someone else or like try to get out of my head. Like try to do something for someone else. And usually it just is like calling someone or being like, hey, what's up with you? You know, like, especially now when it's like limited. And even if they don't ever call me back, it's just like, okay, you know, looking through my phone, like, oh, you know, what's going on with this person? How are they doing? It's just, you know, getting out of myself. And because it's like so much of my anxiety is like, just like the swirling.
Yes.
You know, like that, like they say in yoga, the hamster wheel. Monkey mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's been a big help for me lately.
Good.
Tips.
We're full of tips.
Yes, we are.
All right. So the next one. So this is I'll give a little shout out to the Kali Institute. So we have a blog, but it's actually really helpful during this, right? So power up, how to stay sane, stay resilient, and stay effective during crisis. So your power up routine can be done anywhere and has 3 simple parts. So the first one is 3-2-1 centering. So the 3 is name 3 things that you see right now in your house. So it can be like, I see Anna's beautiful face. I see Amy's pop of lipstick. And I see my computer, right? And so that's that. So 3 things, and then 2 things that I hear. So I hear laughing, and then I hear myself talking. and then one thing that I'm touching. So I feel my desk right now, right? And so what that does is that when we are anxious and we are kind of on that hamster wheel, it breaks, it gets you back into the present, and it breaks that kind of cycle that's happening in your head. And so that's why we do that. And then the second thing on the power up is micro gratitude practice. And so with gratitude, whether it's like you're being grateful about big things or small things, we practice gratitude, and it is a practice because we have a negative bias, right? I think we talked about this in another episode.
Yeah, we did.
Negativity bias where you negative things stick to you like Velcro and positive things fall off like Teflon. And so we need to train our brain. And so micro gratitude. So the next step is to notice. So write down 3 to 5 things, small things in which you are grateful for. So right now, I am grateful for talking to you all during this podcast and seeing your faces, Amy and Anna. I am grateful that I had coffee today. And I would say I am grateful for Spindrift. I don't know if you've had this sparkling water, but it is delicious.
Real juice.
So, real juice in that. That's so good. So
y'all had a really good trip to Target.
Oh, it was a
No, you can also get it at Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I need to get some of that.
Right.
It's good.
So
And
so it's juice and sparkling water?
only 17 calories though. Just saying.
It's like a hint of juice.
But it is so good. The orange mango, holy.
It's just like a natural flavoring.
Yes.
Oh, yum.
There was a really good episode on how you built this. With the owner or the founder of Spindrift.
Oh.
Really good. And he was talking about natural essence and juice and why he went that route. So I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
So,
You know what is super, super good in seltzer water?
what?
Grapefruit essential oil.
Ooh.
So good. So fresh.
Can
Can you drink that shit? That's okay.
Yeah, definitely. Make sure you get the kind that's for consumption.
Yes.
But
so you have to get the good ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's so fresh. Like 3 drops of that.
It's a good tip.
Pamplemousse.
Pamplemousse.
Yeah, pamplemousse.
DIY pamplemousse. I actually prefer it.
It took a second, Ada. That's good.
Crink, crink, crink. It's slow moving. I prefer the oil to pamplemousse.
Pamplemousse.
Pamplemousse? Pamplemousse.
Oh. Pamplemousse.
Pamplemousse? Pamplemousse?
Oh boy. Okay.
Because the oil is more grapefruity.
Okay.
And the
Stronger.
And the pamplemousse.
You said pamplemousse, Amy?
Yeah. Pamplemousse?
Oh gosh.
Okay.
All right.
So the third step is stress reducing inverted movement. So that's take 5 to 10 minutes of just stretching. So it's not like getting your heart rate. It's just like getting in your body. So the more grounded that we are, the better that we can handle all the anxiety or the emotions that are coming up. And so if you can take 15 minutes of your day, right? Or 10 minutes of your day. So we do 3, 2, 1 centering. And then we do the micro gratitude practice, write down 3 to 5 things, and then reducing stress. And so that you can connect into your body, to your intuition, so that you know, and that you can be here in the present moment. So this can help when we feel kind of crazy. We can do those things. If you want to know more about what the science behind that or the research behind it, you can check out the Kali Institute and go to blog. And the article is called Power Up, How to Stay Sane, Stay Resilient, and Stay Effective During Crisis. So that's that.
Wait, inverted movement?
Yes.
Like so upside down movement?
No, so like not movement, but just like moves, like gentle, I guess. Right?
Okay.
So the final step is both allowing the mind to reconnect to its best functioning. So it's an opportunity to make sure that our mind is well connected to our body and intuition. This is a time for simple or gentle alignment of our whole selves. So it's not like I'm going for a run. It's not like I'm getting on the Peloton. It's just that I'm just like stretching and moving the insides to kind of get me in.
Wiggle.
Wiggle, baby.
Get those wiggles out.
Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle,
The insides.
Yeah, there you go. Good. Here we are.
Here we are.
Go ahead.
The power up thing makes me think about something I heard Rachel Hollis say when I got to hear her speak one time. She has this really great thing where she has like a power song.
Mm.
And it's like you have to save these power songs for your power up time. Just for like pump up, power up. Like it's like in an emergency, this is my go-to power song. So
like any song by Saweetie.
That's right.
That's like our unofficial theme song.
That's right. Saweetie.
It's so dirty.
It is dirty, but it's a really good song.
Yeah.
That's
but
right.
yeah, so like whatever it is. And she said, I thought this was interesting. She said that you just have to make sure you don't listen to it when you're not in your power up mode.
Okay. That might be hard.
Like you just keep it for that. I know.
It's sacred.
Yeah. That's a good tip. That's a good tip.
I thought it was a good tip.
Okay.
We're just all about the tips.
Tip. Well, this whole
Seriously,
episode tip heavy.
It's good.
Just a tip.
Needs them.
Just
yeah.
So, Anna, I'm excited to hear you talk about your story, but I'm going to talk about this.
Oh yeah.
Get there, right? So that we can set it up, and then you give a great example. Right?
You go. You are running with this one.
Right.
I know. You got this.
You got it.
We also remember, we talked about this, but that we're in the middle of a worldwide trauma. So you were talking about that, Anna, about last time when you were talking to Crystal in therapy, like this was what was happening. So oftentimes when we are under stress, we revert back to old habits and familiar coping skills because that's just what we do. So our brains are kind of wired that way. So I have reduced my caffeine. I gave this example before. I reduced my caffeine before, and now I'm back to drinking caffeine.
I love that noise.
Oh boy. Okay, and some people are sure. I got a G chat yesterday, and my friend was like, "So how you doing on the sugar?" And I was like, "I'm not doing well on the sugar. That's just where it is." Okay, so trauma. If we think about this, so trauma. This is happening to all of us in one form or another, and so trauma is just a dysregulation of the nervous system. And what the hell does that mean? So all it means is that is there too much charge in my body? Or is there too little charge or energy in my body? So I feel like real anxious or like rageful. We got that corona rage happening.
Yes.
Like I'm all jacked up. Or do I need a little boost? Do I need that power up? Do I feel like I can't get out of bed? I'm unmotivated. I'm kind of checked out. I've watched 7 episodes of The Tiger King in a row.
You and the rest of the world.
Yeah, I know. I haven't watched that many in a row. I'm just giving an example because Tiger King is everywhere. Popping. Yeah. So some
Real
ideas.
quick aside.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Do we think Carol did it?
I'm not there yet.
Oh,
wait, don't say that. Spoiler alert. Yeah.
I didn't say anything, did I?
We don't know.
I don't even know what you're saying, but you shouldn't have asked that.
I don't
even know what it is.
Okay. So you just disregard that, and we'll talk about it. And
we can't even edit that out right
now.
So
Exactly.
We're not even
live.
gonna edit it. We're live.
We're live. This is
Sorry.
Good thing we are just gonna skip over that.
Okay.
Moving on. All right.
Moving on.
Good.
No spoilers here.
All right. So some ideas for charging up your system. So if we inhale, that gets your system like going, right? So eating. So if you were like real low energy and eating, this is normalized eating, not my obsessive chocolate eating. So if you need to rest, because you could need to rest, sex, feeling emotions, stimulation. So I might need to have a conversation, or I might need to have some lemongrass in my diffuser, Amy, and sell in this inspiration. So that helps, right? So discharging of energy, so you can focus on exhaling. And that helps a ton, right? So
don't exhale too hard because your mic picks it up.
Windy, it sounds like I'm talking to you when I'm going for a run. That's what it sounded like. PTSD trauma. Can you turn your phone on mute? Thank you. Okay. So, right. All right. So then working, because that will discharge some of your energy. When I'm frantically spraying Pine Sol all over my house to clean it, I'm discharging energy. You can create things. You can express your emotions, activity, yelling, running. You can give, like you were talking about, Anna, when you have anxiety and you're calling other people to give, that helps discharge that. Things that do both. So meditation, yoga, conversations, exercise, exercise, massage, walking, and then being in nature. So it's just whatever the things that you need. So the simple way to like, what is happening with me right now? Do I need to discharge energy or do I need to take in energy? Like discharge or power up, and then do something that helps with that very simply. Because I think our brains get overloaded. Like I should be doing all these things. How do I do this? And it's very simply, what do I need right now? So there we go. Anna.
Yeah.
Great story you're about to tell.
Oh yeah. Yep. So I discharged energy very effectively based on a tip I learned on our podcast by Erin Linehan, therapist extraordinaire at thekaliinstitute.com. Book your sessions now.
There you go. There you book your sessions now. We're doing teletherapy, people.
Yeah, everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah. So so crazy experience happened Sunday. We have been in the house so much. We've been doing our quarantine part and staying in the city as much as possible, and we just got super stir crazy, decided to go just out to like Golden, which is just a little bit of ways from Denver. And when we were on the way to this hike, we came upon a car that had just flipped over, and
the picture was crazy.
So crazy. Yeah. And the wheel was still spinning when we came upon it. And we were just like, oh shit, what happened? And just kind of looking to see what was going on. And then all of a sudden, one of the ladies, there were like 2 people there already, 2 or 3 already. And one of the ladies
from a different car?
From the opposite direction. It's just this 2-lane little side Route 40, and they were like calling for people to come over, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is my chance. Like, I need to go help. And all those I Survives, all those My Favorite Murders that I've listened to, this is the training I've been doing for this moment right here, right now. Put me in, coach. This is it. I'm here to help. I show up? This is the time to show up. This is the time to pull the body out of the car. These are the things I'm thinking.
Well, that's what you did, right?
I didn't pull body out.
Oh, I thought you did. Okay.
You did?
No, I thought I thought you had to pull it. Okay, go ahead.
No, I didn't have to pull her body out. So I go running, trotting up there, check it out, see what the situation is, and they're like, we can't get the door open.
Who's saying that?
One of the people there.
Oh, okay. Like
one of the bystanders.
Bystanders, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
And then they're like, we can't get the door open. We got to get her seatbelt off. And then they're like, how many people are in the car? It was just like just so fast, Meanwhile, someone's calling 911. And I realized that nobody had checked to see, like, all the windows were still busted out from the accident, the flip. And
were you able to talk to the person in the car?
Yeah, totally. So we were able to see that there was no one else in the car. She was still conscious, which was great.
Wow.
And then I realized that nobody had tried unlocking the door and just opening it. So I did that. And then, one of the bystanders cut off her seatbelt, and then they started talking about like, we need to get her out of the car. And I'm like, unless the car's going to blow up, I don't think we should move her.
Yes, that's right.
Because she could become paralyzed by being moved, And so anyway, there was like a towel right by her, and
was she like freaking out?
She was like, she couldn't move. Like the car was like crushed on her, and she was like slumped over, just her back to the driver's side door. And that's kind of where I was kind of able to wiggle in. And the coronavirus, everybody, that wasn't even like something that we were thinking about. It was like, we got to just help her and do whatever we need to do. And anyway, so it was like super high adrenaline. Like it was just like one thing after another. And then somehow I ended up being the one holding like the compress to her head while we're, underneath, like twisted under, holding it to her head. And, we all decided, I guess, that we needed to keep the blood in her, put pressure on what we could tell was cut. And like, so I was just like talking with her, and like, then all of a sudden, like the blood went through the towel, and like the guy who had cut off the seatbelt was giving me more paper towels. And it was just like, I did not expect that I would be the one holding the compress to her head. And I was just able to talk to her a little bit and just like reassure her, like, you know, the paramedics are on their way. And she was like asking about God and her mom. And she was just like, I was like, God's right here with you. And like, you're not alone. And just trying to like tell her that. And then, I was like, you know, there's this really great podcast.
Okay. You did not.
I'm totally joking.
That's so great. Thank you for that.
Had to. No, and then so she's asking for God and her mom, and she's like, does my mom know? Has my mom been called? And
Was she young?
I think she was like in her 50s, and like I was just like able to like just talk to her and like rub her back at one point and just be like, oh my gosh, they're gonna be here soon, like, you know what, it's gonna be okay. And you know, they're gonna get you fixed up, like they're gonna literally be here so fast. But it was so crazy because like everything in her car was like laying on her, like the floor mats, like air fresheners, like the radio was still playing.
Weird.
It was so wild. Anyway, then I don't even know how long it was. They got there very fast, the paramedics, and I got a tap on the shoulder and was like, hey, I'm a paramedic, I can take over. And I was like, oh, thank God. And then like I just was like walking away, and I looked at my hands, and they were like covered. And
wow.
It was just so like, oh my gosh. And I had this surge of like adrenaline, and you know, I was just like, we got to just move along so the paramedics and everybody can get to her. We need to just get out of the way and move along here. And like when I got back to the car,
wait, so did they like want a statement from you or anything?
No. Like the sheriff walked by and like saw me with my hands, and he just kind of like said, like, acknowledged, like, oh, hi. It was so, yeah, I kind of was surprised too, but I was like, well, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And then yeah, when I got back to the car and saw Aaron and Henry and Humpty, our dog, like I just felt like I wanted to cry, but like it just wouldn't come out. And then we finally got to like our trail, and I just was like feeling so like worked up, like a energy, like a surge. I don't know, what would you
charge? This is what I talked about. A charge in your body.
Charge,
you were overcharged.
Like,
you were overcharged.
Yeah, like
yes.
So I remember what you had said on, I think in season one of the very first episodes in season one, you said that you had a friend who got in a car accident.
My EMDR teacher.
Yeah. She got in an accident, and after the accident, she was doing jumping jacks on the side of the road.
Yep.
And I remembered that, and I was like, I have to fucking do jumping jacks.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just started doing jumping jacks on the trail, and then like I still felt like the surge, like the surge is the perfect way to put it. And so I just started like doing sprints, like I call them sprints, but I wasn't
Sloth hiking club sprints.
Sloth hiking club
team.
Sloth hiking.
So I was doing doing sprints. Yeah. And
nice quotations, Anna.
Yeah. Sprinting on the trail, and I just kept moving until I felt that surge and that charge like leave my body. And then like I just as a way to process it, I put a post up on my personal Facebook profile about it and just kind of wrote it out. And then I've had different people ask me like, how are you doing or whatever, like, you know, that makes, you know, if you still have like residual feelings or whatever, that totally is normal or whatever, just things like that. And the wildest thing is I do not feel like I was traumatized by that. And I think it's because of Aaron's tip and how I was.
Yay, Aaron!
Anna did it.
Yay, Anna!
Trauma. Yay! Yay!
So good. Makes my heart so happy.
But like, holy shit! To like avoid trauma.
Yeah.
By fucking jumping jacks.
Yeah.
Are you avoiding it, or you're just like getting it out of your body?
Moving it.
Yeah,
so
not,
I
mean, like,
if you have an incident like that and your nervous system is overwhelmed and then it gets stuck, that's what causes the trauma. But if you if something happens, you have all that energy and that surge in your system, and you're able to like complete the trauma cycle, then it doesn't get stuck in your system. Of course, like when you think back about a flipped over car, like then that's not like a pleasant thing to think about, but it's not feeling in your nervous system. Like it's not stuck. That's what happens.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I said avoid, but I meant like walk through it.
Yeah. Completed the trauma cycle. There you go.
So crazy.
That's great.
Yeah. And I'm able to like look at that situation and be proud of myself for how I showed up. Because like, like having anxiety and looking at, watching I Survived or all these true crime podcasts and shows, it's like, I always want to think that I would show up in the way that I had hoped, I would, that I could be of service and help people in that situation. But you don't really know how you're going to show up in those situations until you're in it.
Yep.
Yeah. So I was super proud of myself that I was able to be present and helpful, and I just felt really proud of myself for that. And then to be able to like work through that trauma too, like immediately after.
Yeah.
So cool.
That's awesome.
You're like so healthy.
I know, right?
You are.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
But you will always do. That's the thing, is if you can do things when you're feeling that way, you will always do them in the future, right? Like if that happens again, Anna, you will always do that, which is because you're
so pretty
healthy.
Cool.
Yeah.
Because you're so healthy.
I'm like super healthy, you guys.
No, that's pretty cool. That's I mean, I hope that woman is okay.
I know. So my mom actually, she was like, I saw your post, and I texted her too and told my family about what happened, and they were like, my mom's really worried about her. And so I told her I would call the sheriff and try to find out some info. So I have a call in to the state highway patrol to find out info. I hope she lived. I mean, I don't know. But yeah, so that's my
I love it.
story on that.
Good.
Helpful
tips. We're full of them today.
We're just full of tips today.
Amy, you want to read the mental health tips from the CDC?
I don't know. Or I was thinking, like, should we just go to the
how to motivate in a private setting?
No, well.
What were you saying? Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in there.
No, that's okay. I was just looking at the time.
Oh.
Are we okay?
I don't know.
When did we start?
So it says an hour and 11 minutes.
Whoa,
yeah.
For real?
Whoa.
Yeah. So I was thinking, like, maybe that was such a great
ending
where it was like real life example. How what did you say, Erin? How you finish the trauma cycle?
Complete the trauma cycle. Yeah.
Complete the trauma cycle.
To finish the trauma response. Yeah. Because our system's gonna respond like that, and it's a way to discharge the trauma.
Yeah. So
so I feel like
sure.
Or I want to hear what you have to say too, Amy. But so since we've talked about this collective idea of us all, this idea of us having a collective trauma, can we work through that trauma cycle right now? I mean, is it like what we talked about in the past episodes about the coronavirus, like being present and feeling those feelings, or is there anything that we can do physically to like complete that trauma cycle? Like I think, just a shitload of jumping jacks?
Dude, all day, every day, right?
I did 10 today.
Good job, girl.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's different because that's your incident. The one that you were part of was a one-off thing, right? And when we are in the middle of it, right, it's just about managing it and then seeing what happens at the end. But the thing that's happening with all of the trauma that's happening now, even if you're checked out and watching Netflix and not doing anything, it can't motivate, or you're super anxious and you're kind of out of your window, that your system is still experiencing anxiety or anything that's happening, like negative feelings, it's still happening in your system because there's fear about things or whatever's coming up for you. And so that's why it's really important to take care of yourself, to move some of that stuff through, so that when we're all through this, that you're in a better spot. And so we can't, it's interesting because this trauma, we have no idea when it's going to be over. And so it's not a one-off thing. This is like a insidious thing that keeps on going. And so you have to take care of yourself along the way, be gentle with yourself so that you can process through whatever's there, so it doesn't add up and add up and add up and add up and add up.
It's like a marathon trauma.
It sure is. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think like a lot of the advice with the, RAIN and your 3-2-1 centering, Erin, it's like all that is doing is what that is doing, in my opinion, is just bringing us to the present, because we really don't know what the result of this is going to be. We don't know when it's going to end. We don't know so much. And I feel like the best thing we can do is really try to be in the present as much as possible.
Well put.
So I think there's some amazing tips here, guys. We've got RAIN. Yeah. We've got power up routine.
Yeah.
We've got finish your trauma cycle, jumping jacks.
Right.
I mean, shoot. Let's land this plane.
Do you want to read that poem, or you want to save it till next time?
No, I want to read this poem.
Okay. Good.
I haven't read a poem in a while.
Well, I said, you know what? When we were planning this last night, Chris was like, "Is Amy going to read that?" And I said, "I'll write a special note." She's like,
"Aw."
He's like, "She's got the voice for that. She needs to read that."
Oh,
there you go.
Okay, this is dedicated to Chris Hayes.
He'll love it. He'll love it. When I sent him, he sent me questions that he wrote on the back. And make sure to tell everyone how much you love your husband. That's what the thing was. So I love you, Chris.
Aww.
There you go.
Okay, so this poem is by Mary Oliver, and the title of it is Invitation. Oh, do you have time to linger just for a little while? Out of your busy and very important day, for the goldfinches that have gathered in a field of thistles, for a musical battle to see who can sing the highest note or the lowest, or the most expressive of mirth, or the most tender. Their strong, blunt beaks drink the air as they strive, melodiously, not for your sake and not for mine, and not for the sake of winning, but for sheer delight and gratitude. Believe us, they say. It is a serious thing, just to be alive on this fresh morning in the broken world.
Keep going. It's more.
I beg of you, do not walk by without pausing to attend to this rather ridiculous performance. It could mean something. It could mean everything. It could be what Rilke meant when he wrote, "You must change your life." Boom.
Boom.
That's a good one. Yeah. Thank you, Mary Oliver.
Mary Oliver.
Thank you. All right.
We landing the plane?
Yep.
Landing this mofo.
All right.
I think we can just come back next time and pick up right where we left off.
I think so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, good.
Well,
love you.
Love you.
Stay connected. You're not alone.
Yeah.
Wash your hands.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. You can find more about this episode and a way to connect to the community at lessalonepodcast.com. And if you like us, don't forget to subscribe and be sure to leave a review. It helps other people find us and could be just what they need.